Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Kicking It With, where today I'm going to be chopping it up with Dexter Wansel. Hey, Mr. Wansel, how are you doing, sir?
Hi, Conrad. How are you today? Thank you for having me.
I'm very good. I'm so glad that you've allowed me to have some time with you. I'm actually so excited because what you guys don't know is Dexter has allowed me to hear his new conceptual album, and I am just blown away by it. But first, we're going to just step back in time a little bit, and I'm going to talk to him about a couple of things that just have come across my mind. So, Dexter, you've got a Grammy. You did some work for Lou Rawls, and you got a Grammy for that. Also, you've worked with some of the biggest artists in the industry. And what I wanted to ask you initially is how do you feel about having so much of your music sampled by so many different people?
Well, that's interesting. In the beginning, back in the 80s, sampling for us writers and publishers, per se, didn't make money. It was not until copyright, there was a law that was passed in the early 90s that if you sampled something, then you had to get a license to use it and you had to pay for it. And then that's when it started benefiting us. Like
Yeah.
I know Sony says that theme from the planets was sampled over 500 times, but that doesn't include all the times it was sampled in the 80s, because it
Yeah.
wasn't licensed, And unfortunately, I think a lot of it's good. I really do, because we're seeing royalties. The writers and are seeing royalties for the stuff that gets sampled now that are licensed. Some of the material that is used on top of the sample,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, can be disturbing. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but nonetheless, I'm pretty happy with all thus far with the sampling that's been done, especially on Theme from the Planets.
Yeah.
That's literally been hundreds and hundreds of times. That drum beat that Dr. Daryl Brown, may he rest in peace, played to help create that song.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've worked with the Jones Girls, you worked with my good friend Jean Carn. What is it like working with those kind of ladies when you were doing stuff with them? Were they so I know Jean would have been uh into her career when you worked with her during Sweetest Pain because I've spoken to her about some of the legends that she's worked with, and oh my goodness.
Yeah.
How did those
But
sessions go?
I have to tell you something. Gene Carn did not sing The Sweetest Pain. That was a vocalist named Terry Wells. And she
Okay.
was in a group initially at Philly International called City Limits. And that's how I met her. And she started working with me, and she sung on my first album, she's singing Together Once Again. And then on my second album, no, my fourth album, she's singing The Sweetest Pain. And it's Terry Wells. Jean Carn and I worked well together. She did a cover of Together Once Again, but
Okay.
she's never sung The Sweetest Pain.
Is that how did I wonder how that information got so
Well, it gets out there, and sometimes folks make mistakes. They put two and two together and think that that's a four, and when really it's only a three or a two. So that's how that happens, and it got out there, and unfortunately, I've been going to numerous sites saying, "Look, that's not Gene. That's." But thanks for posting it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, at least we've got the right information now, and we can go forward from there. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, on the Sweetest Pain,
yeah.
my orchestral and choral arrangement on that, the female voices are the Jones Girls.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Cool. That's really
well,
cool.
girls, they really listen. I got to tell you something. The Jones Girls, we became so close that they would hang out. We would all hang out together, and if they didn't have anything to do while they were working with other producers, they'd come hang out with me. What you doing today? I say, oh, I'm in here doing this track on Lou Rawls. Oh yeah, really? You need some background? I said, sure, sure, come on in. Let's make some money, because they were members of AFTRA, and got paid quite well for all their background work too. And yeah, they did background on a lot of the projects I did. You know, not just there's my they did stuff on my albums. They did
Hmm.
stuff on Lou's albums that I worked with. They did stuff on Billy Paul, MFSB. You know,
Wow.
they did so much work. That last album I did over in Europe, I really was trying to get them signed to Virgin 10,
Hmm.
you know, after we had all been gone from PIR for years, you know.
Yeah.
And Virgin was like, well, do an album and feature them. And I was saying, but wait a minute, I'm trying to get you to sign them, you know, because I'm not that guy, you know, I'm that in the studio guy, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, I did the album anyway, and they did a couple of tracks on there that did quite well over there, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, I miss my friends. Valerie and Brenda, of course, have passed on,
Yeah.
but Shirley is still out and working. You know, she's still out performing.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of our mutual friends, Billy Paul, he's passed along too.
Oh yeah, Billy has passed me. Billy was one of my early mentors in that, you know, I started submitting songs at Philly International in 1972. And the very first song I got accepted was because Billy told Gamble and Huff that he liked it. You know, I had played it for Gamble and Huff and they passed on it
Yeah.
as usual.
Mm.
And so one day I saw Billy and I said, Billy, please let me play this for you, you know. And he says, well, I was standing out in front of the building. I wasn't really in the office, you know, I wasn't really signed, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
he walked in and I said, yeah, he said, well, come on, come with me. So we went upstairs. I played him the song and he liked it. He told Kenny and Leon, look, I really like this song. That kid that is in Yellow Sunshine, you know, Carlin Rollins group, let me do this song, you know. And they said, okay. And it was Billy's Back Home, came out in 74 or
Yeah.
75, something like that. And then that next thing I knew, Gamble walked up to me one day and said, look, we're interested in signing you. We're going to give you a temp office. And that was like in 70, 74. No, before that, right after I got out of Yellow Sunshine in 73, something like that. But anyway, I didn't cut the track till Billy's Back Home until 74. And I think it came out that year or the next year, something like that. And I
Wow.
was signed as a writer and they let me go in 70 in 75. But so but MFSB had reached out to me, and so had Instant Funk, and I had started playing keyboards with Bunny Sigler and Instant Funk, and
Yeah.
I became the live keyboard player for MFSB. And the next thing I knew, Bobby Martin was asking me to come into the studio with my synthesizer. I was the first person to have a synthesizer.
Oh
I
wow.
actually used to program Sigma's Putney synthesizer starting in 72 because
Hmm.
nobody knew how to program it. And I was sitting in the lobby one day waiting for somebody to try me out on the piano on a session.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the engineers came down and said, do you know anything about a Putney synthesizer? And I said, sure. I didn't, but but I got up there and I got a sound. And from that moment on, they started hiring me at $50 a session to program their Putney. And then one day, Al Pearlman and his people showed up, and he said, "Would you like to own an ARP synthesizer?" And I said, "Sure." So he sold me an ARP synthesizer over a year because I didn't have. But by 75, I was signed at PIR, and I was writing and producing for all their artists. But Billy, and then after I did Life on Mars, Billy put me on a tour with him, and it was me, Gene, and Billy. We went on a 20-city tour together.
Incredible.
That was back in 75, 76. I'm sorry, 76.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Incredible.
Billy was very important, very important. We stayed friends up until I talked to him the week he passed, or 2 weeks before he passed away. I had talked to him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. He was
yeah,
a great
we saw Blanche, his wife, recently. We went to an affair that she was having in honor of Billy, so we
okay.
showed up to that recently. Yeah,
Good. Yeah, I spoke to her a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, she's an amazing woman, and
amazing woman. Blanche
Billy,
is amazing.
yeah, Billy did a lot of stuff for me whenever he would come over here. He
Oh, that's
introduced me and took
wonderful.
me around, and that's how I first was introduced to you. It was at the Jazz Cafe. It was him. Uh, I actually knew Nathan Heathman, who was
Yeah,
the
yeah. Nathan
the
was
MD.
working with Billy, and like his music director at one
That's
point,
right.
you know.
Yeah, and Gary
And
Gillespie and
yeah,
the guys. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I was on that show.
I know that's where I met you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Billy took me and he introduced me to you and Gene and all of the guys. He was a really,
Yeah.
really great guy.
Jean during that show, she actually had laryngitis, and so they had to drop all the keys, you know, for
Yeah,
her to get through the show. Yeah,
yeah,
we that was a 14 city tour we did over there in Europe. Then, yeah,
yeah, yeah. It
got
was
stuck on a train. I'm pretty sure that was the one I did where we got stuck on a train going to Edinburgh in
probably,
the Scottish Highlands. Yeah, there
yeah,
was a snowstorm and the train stopped and we were stuck on the train for hours.
yeah. That sounds about right because you wouldn't believe it, but the slightest bit of snow or even rain or a leaf can get on the track, and that's it. The train's just going to come to a stop. So that sounds about right.
Yeah.
So I want to get move a little bit forward. Now, I've noticed that you have, I guess, planetary or outer space themes or names for some of your albums. So there's Life on Mars, there's Voyager, but your new one, your new album, your conceptual album that it hopefully will be out soon, is called The Story of the Flight Crew to Mars. Is there any significance around you naming your albums the way that you name them, or the ones that you have named that have those kind of titles?
Well, the significance is that as a kid, part of my life was spent on a farm in near Lewis, Delaware, in an area called Rabbits Ferry, Delaware, Indian Mission, Rabbits Ferry, Delaware.
Hmm.
Um, and you know, at night, there were no lights. You know, there was just maybe what was coming from a farm in the distance. You know,
Yeah,
or our farm. You know, but at night, the skies were you know, on a clear night, the sky was incredible. You know, and one night I was out, and they had woke me up and told me I was late for school. And so I ran out the door and was running down the road and everything like that. And I could hear them laughing in the distance. And I said, wait a minute, it's nighttime, you know? So, of course, I went back and sat down on the steps, and they're inside laughing at me. And I'm looking up. And at that moment, I must have seen 100 meteors at once.
wow.
Yeah. And I got scared and I ran into the house and I screamed, something happening outside. And they were like, "Are you just joking?" You know,
Yeah.
you know. But I know what I saw, you know, and from that moment on, I've been pretty much an amateur stargazer. You know, I just recently bought a new. I'm still waiting on it, but I just recently bought a more upgraded telescope. I had a Meade telescope in here for a while,
Hmm.
and that I would use on rare occasion. But this telescope, I'm really going to use. But I still read stargazing books, and I follow what's going to happen every year. You know, as far as conjunctions and meteor showers are concerned. And of
Yeah.
course, I went to Tennessee for the total eclipse. You know, me and
Yeah.
my grandson went down there, drove all the way from the Philadelphia area down to Tennessee so we could see the, you know, total eclipse of the sun. You know, and that was spectacular. You
I
know,
bet
so
it was. I bet it
yeah,
was.
yes, it was.
Yeah, because it was a few years ago here in London, we could actually see almost a total eclipse. And I remember it very well how the light spectrum changed and how it got darker. And
Yeah,
it was an amazing experience. And
yeah.
I hope everybody at least gets to experience that once. So you took your grandson down there, you were able to see how was his reaction to that?
Um, he at first he was real quiet, and then the next day on our way home, he stayed on the phone telling all his friends what he had seen. You know,
Oh,
so
wow.
he was definitely influenced. You know, and it was a wonderful experience for me too. You know,
Good.
I mean, we get to see partial eclipses, but total eclipses are generally rare. But
Yeah.
you know, lately they've been a little better. You know, as far as seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the story of the flight crew to Mars. What brought this conceptual idea to your mind, and what made you want to do it?
Well, I wanted to do it because of I have friends who are NASA and JPL engineers, two of them especially.
Okay.
Well, actually, five. Patashi, and Andy, Amaleye, Larry Mizell, who I recently met, and he used to be of the Mizell brothers that used to do jazz at Blue Note,
Yeah.
Blue Note Records and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the Mizell, his other brother, Fonz Mizell, actually was one of the corporation. The corporation was a group of writers that wrote all the hits for the Jackson Five at Motown.
Okay.
But of course, Barry, because of the great success of Holland Dozier and Holland, Barry was like, well, I'm not going through that no more. We're going to cover everybody's name.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the group called the Corporation, but they did a lot of hits. But anyway, so, and actually, Amaleye and Larry and I were on like a Zoom meeting that he's posting parts of to NASA.
Okay.
And we all watched Perseverance land together,
Oh, how
so.
cool was that?
And Amaleye is writing the software for the 2023 moon landing.
Okay.
He's writing the software for that. Yeah,
Wow. So
yeah.
that's
He's
not
one of
far
the
off.
top. Huh?
That's not far off. 2023.
No, no, it's not for the moon landings. He's writing software for that, and he wrote the software for two of the Mars rovers. They had me actually come to NASA in Los Angeles because they use Life on Mars to wake up the Mars rover Curiosity.
Wow.
I'll send you a picture. I'll say
I'd
they had
love
me
to
go
see that.
control right in front, and while they played their playlist for that day, and Life on Mars was on the playlist, and I got to hear and watch it. So
Oh man, that is so cool.
yeah, at least I got to watch it. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So I've listened to the album and I love it. It starts off, I think the first song, well, it's got skits or segues in it, but the
Yeah,
first,
every song has a audio scene. And
yeah,
that's another thing that I'm sure that the labels are having an issue with because it's a quasi musical. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And they don't know what to do with it, but that's okay. I think that once people get it, and I think it's the kind of album that people can say, hey, I think I'll listen to that again, because there's a story.
yeah,
Now, a number of the people don't like the way I end it, but I got to tell you, that I think they're missing something, and that is they're missing that Captain Deva is the guy that the robot talks to at the beginning and the end.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So they think it's all about how a story about how it all crashes and everything, but nah.
so I guess once you get to a point where you're comfortable with how it's going to be released and everything, do you think you'll put some visuals with it to
Yeah, I will try to do some visuals for at least two or three of the single releases. The first song I had ever done for the album itself was the Christmas song. So
yeah,
I went on ahead and stuck that out last year, and it got a few reviews, but it didn't really do that much. But this year, I noticed that they have it in rotation in some spots now. So that really helps me. Um, and So yeah, I'm gonna try a couple of things. I'm definitely gonna do next year. I'm gonna do a video for the Christmas song, but before that, the next two singles, which one of them is going to be "I'll Remember You with Love,"
okay.
and I like Ion Drive.
Yeah, I like
Uh,
Ion Drive too, and I also like Comet Ravi Shankar.
yeah, well, that's in honor of Ravi Shankar. I think that as far as Indian culture is concerned, he helped to bring that to the forefront so much, worldwide with his sitar playing.
Yes, yeah,
And now that he just recently passed, and his daughter is still out there, working quite well, doing great shows, with the sitar. And I wanted to do something to honor him. And so
and
there you have it.
it's a great honorary track. I love listening to that. That's probably the one that I've listened to the most, and I think Ion Drive would come number two.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's okay. Well, yeah, I like I'll remember you with love for the older generations,
Yeah.
because it has like the Brazilian flavor to it. And then there's um I was thinking about uh This Is My Story,
Okay.
which Damon Williams sings. And as far as trying to get it to R&B contemporary stations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and there was one other one I'm thinking about. But anyway, at some point, I'm going to edit at least 6 of the songs, and over the next 12 to 18 months, I'm going to continually release singles, because the way back in the day, after 6 to uh, 24 weeks, an album was done,
That's right. Yeah.
and everybody moved on radio stations and everything. Like, I don't think that's going to be the case with this album. I think this album is just going to be a slow burn for years to come. And the reason I say that is that I did an album 15, 16 years ago called Digital Groove World. And I didn't do any marketing, promotion. I didn't even reach out to labels. There was this new company out there called CD Baby. And I said, I'll stick it on CD Baby. To this day, it still sells. And there's a
Wow.
reason for that. And that's what I'm hoping for with this album. Only with this album, I'm going to go ahead and invest. I'm going to set up a promotional marketing site for it, so that it links to everywhere. I'm going to get into business with at least 8 different social media sites for marketing and promotion. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And especially for linking to stations worldwide. And I know it's going to cost me, but I'm ready to go ahead and invest in it, and see what happens in a couple of years.
And you know what? I have to agree with you. It may be a slow burn, but it's definitely going to withstand the test of time because every track that I listen to, it's classically done, and it's done in such a way that it won't just, oh, well, nobody's listening to that kind of music anymore. It's all very high quality stuff. So yeah, it may be a slow burn, but it's definitely going to withstand the test of time because I'm loving it. I can't wait for you to release it for everybody to enjoy.
Thank you so much. Well, me and my wife really love it. She's going to really help me, do things with it because with her, I can bounce ideals off of. Now, she has her favorites too, which,
Okay.
different from mine, but I'm going to put them out. And we'll see what happens, and we'll do some administering. I have a son, actually. Once we get this started, I've mentioned to him a few times. Um, I'm reaching out to him for his help. He's in the music business. He's very successful. He's one of Ariana Grande's producers, Alicia Keys' producers, writers, Usher's producers, writers. He does all of those artists. He's won numerous Grammys. He's had and with what's that? There's this one artist that he helped discover and has been her producer, and Alessia Cara,
Okay.
Alessia Cara.
Yeah.
She has 2 number 1 pop records in the world here, and Scars Till You Beautiful. Um, and he's going to help.
That's good.
We'll see. As long as as long as I can call him and he'll respond. Um, and I don't have to go through any management or anything.
Funny. That is funny. That is funny.
But yeah, I think he'll help us in ways. So we'll see. And I'm gonna not, the whole streaming business is like, you got to sell at least 100,000 streams just to make $150.
Yeah, I
you know.
know.
And so I'm going to print CDs. I'm going to have a little booklet in there that tells the story, and um, I'm going to do some LPs because a lot of people are liking LPs again, which
Wax
I
is
find so
back.
wonderful.
Yeah, wax is back.
Um, and some thumb drives, which I will sell out there for those people that walk around with their computers or
Yeah.
laptops, whatever, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So when do you think you may be ready to start doing it? Because I'm really excited about this, and I can't wait to see it come out so everybody can
Well,
enjoy it.
hopefully, I'm giving time. I'm giving everybody one more week. Like I was saying with the labels, like there was a label that reached out to me the other day, and they said, Dexter, we really like this album, but we really don't know what to do with it, you know.
Mm,
But we kind of think that we should be putting it out, and they'll get in touch in a week, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
after one more week of waiting, I'm still waiting on a couple other labels. After one more week of waiting, I'm kind of like, well, maybe I don't want to do labels, you know. But out of respect, you know, I'm going to give it one more week, and then I'm already setting up, you know, to get it started, you know.
well,
And it's going to take time, and it's going to take investment, and I'm willing to do that till the end of the year, you know.
cool.
And I'll let you know as soon as I go ahead and have it at all the places where people, you know. First I've got to get it. I want to make sure that they don't only that they only can download it. I want to make sure that if they want CDs, they can go ahead and get them. If they want an LP, they can get it. If they
Yeah,
want a thumb drive, they can get it. You know,
yeah, yeah,
so that's going to take a couple of months.
yep.
But hopefully by the middle of summer, if I don't respond to a label, or if they don't respond to it, hopefully it will be up and running.
Cool, cool. Dexter, tell people how they can get in touch with you and they can get your back catalog.
Woo, the back catalog, Lord child. Wow. Um, well, I know that there are companies out there that have licensed Philadelphia International Records music. I did 5 albums with them as a recording artist. I did actually 5 albums, but um, as far as all the other, I mean, just about every album prior after '75 at Philadelphia International Records. So I'm a producer, writer, or an arranger. You know, I wrote a lot of arrangements, just not for the stuff I was doing with the artists, but for other producers. You know, like I
Yeah,
wrote arrangements for Gamble and Huff and McFadden and Whitehead and Sherman Marshall, and you know, um, but they'd have to look at the albums to see
yeah,
the work I did there. You know, now as far as my productions and songs on other artists, it's kind of like the same thing. You know,
yeah,
a lot of people don't know the stuff that I did. A lot of stuff that's like becoming more relevant now than it was when I first, you know, when it first came out. You know,
yeah,
um, um, a good example. You mentioned the Jones Girls, Nights Over Egypt. That's
yep.
more relevant now than it was when the album came out, you
It
know,
sure is.
for whatever reason, you know. But I had so much fun orchestrating and synthesizing that record with the girls, you know. It was actually going to be on my Time Is Slipping Away album.
Okay.
But Kenny wanted to do an album with them dressed up in you know, women's from Egypt or from
Yeah,
the, you know, from the Far East, and hijabs and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
It turned out he didn't use the picture for that album. He used it for an album that came out before then, you know.
Okay.
But Living All Alone on Phyllis Hyman, you know, that was a pretty big record. If Only You Knew on Patti LaBelle, and so on, you know.
Sh-
Um, and
Just
then the
hit
stuff
after
I did
hit after hit.
outside. You know, I did a record with Junior, Not Tonight. I did with Junior.
Junior Giscombe.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
And I did Pieces of a Dream, a Faux Five Faux, and Warm Weather, and I did, so yeah. So I said all of that to say that that's the only way they're going to find. You know what I can do? I can send you like a mini bio that
Okay.
shows a lot of the stuff I did, not all of it.
Yeah.
At last count, Sony sent me a list of songs and music that I was a part of as a writer, arranger, A&R director. I used to be the A&R director for PIR, you know,
Yeah.
so I put out, I was the A&R director during the time of a lot of those releases, an executive producer of a lot of those releases, like on the Stylistics. Hurry Up This Way Again. I'm the executive producer, and I wrote and produced the song. I co-wrote it with a writer I was working with at the time named Cynthia Biggs, Dr. Cynthia Biggs Eel. We wrote a lot of those songs together.
Oh, wow.
And so you would have to look at the albums, but I'll send you a short list of stuff that people might recognize out there, around the world,
Absolutely.
but not, it's over as far as the stuff I did at PIR and outside of PIR, it's close to 1,000 things,
Wow.
like there's this black harp player here in the US that wanted to do albums that were orchestral oriented, and I wrote all the orchestrations for all of his sacred albums, and his name is Jeff Majors, and he did 6 sacred albums, and I orchestrated all the songs or most of the songs on all of those albums.
Oh, man.
So I worked a lot of hats. I wore a lot of hats. Even to this day, like with my son, he did a cover of one of the songs for the Sparkle movie. Okay. And I can't even remember, hung on your love or something. Anyway, I wrote the strings and horns for his stuff on the Sparkle movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So and Trey Songz, I did Unusual for Trey Songz. I'm a co-producer and I'm the arranger for that, so it continues.
Yeah, it definitely continues. It definitely continues.
Yeah.
And look, since you've done some stuff for your son now, he owes you, so you should be able to maneuver your way around the management company.
Would you please tell him that for me? Because I'm not quite sure if he feels the same way. I'm just kidding. No, he's a great kid.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, you should look him up one day. Pop Wansel, Pop and Oak. They're doing wonders out there.
I will do, definitely. Dexter, I appreciate you spending time with me today, kicking it with myself, and I wish you much continued success. And I am so excited and so anxious, waiting for your new project to come out. But I'm lucky enough to listen to it anyway, so I'm okay. I'll be able to manage my shakes.
Conrad, listen, I will let you know as soon as it's available for people to get out there and find it. And I'll keep you posted. Like I said, I'll email you a mini bio that we did some years ago. It doesn't include everything though.
Yeah.
Can't go by it. It may only include like 1/10 of the stuff I've done, but it'll be stuff that, that people might be familiar with,
Oh, I'm sure they will be.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dexter. You have a great evening.
Conrad, God bless. Thank you for reaching out. I truly appreciate it.
Same to you, sir.